the one thing that's interesting out of all this asphalt dirt stuff is I feel like dirt's getting pushed for multiple reasons, but I also feel like it's because of the youth. What the kids want kind of move what the parents want. It's almost like there's a saying out there, and it's very true. Like you think that you control a dog, for instance, but the dog actually trains the owner to feed them and let them out and all this stuff. So the dog is actually the ruler of the household in a weird way. It's true. Like the dog teaches the owner to feed him, let him out. It's not necessarily the owner controlling the dog. The dog is actually rolling or owning the processes of what happens. And I feel like in a weird way, that's halfway happening with dirt sprint car racing and asphalt racing, because you've heard Dale Earnhardt Jr., for instance, say that Wyatt Miller wants to grow up to be you. He don't want to grow up, his nephew or whatever he is, don't want to grow up to be Joey Logano or Chase Elliott. He wants to grow up to be you. So I kind of feel like some of these NASCAR kids are kind of dictating the popularity of sprint car racing because they don't really want to grow up and be a NASCAR star. They want to grow up and be a sprint car star, and that's because you're the influence. You are the Jeff Gordon, in a way, of the industry. You're influencing kids and younger people to want to do something besides what the outside exterior world is telling them. It's almost like the outside exterior world in the 90s is telling you to be a IndyCar driver, and Jeff Gordon's telling you to be a NASCAR star. And you're kind of doing that currently in the dirt world. What do you feel about that? I'm sure you've heard that quote from Dale Jr. where, Wyatt Miller, his favorite driver is Dale. It isn't Chase Elliott. It's David Gravel.
Is that true? He said it, I'm his favorite driver.
I'm pretty sure I heard that on a clip from Flow Racing. Yes.
I didn't hear that, but that's cool. So, but I think dirt racing's cool. It's the in thing right now. Micro racing is so huge, and you got Kyle Busch doing it, and it being in Millbridge. The outlaw carts were the thing, and now it's micros, and now
micros lead to sprint cars, technically, correct?
Yeah. But I think sprint car racing's cool. I mean, how many cool clips do we post from qualifying videos running close to the wall? Like, NASCAR cars have 550 horsepower. I've seen videos all day long that get posted of how cool it was when they had 900 horsepower and they're revving to 9,000 RPM in qualifying, and they actually sound like race cars.
Right.
People miss that raw shit. People wanted to be Dale Earnhardt or Tony Stewart
or Jeff Gordon.
Jeff Gordon. But yeah, back in the day, I mean, Darrell Waltrip and all these guys, they didn't give a shit. They're going out to win and race, and if you wrecked you, we're going to fight about it. So I think that was like the heyday, kind of like boxing, Mike Tyson days, right? Those are the glory times for those sports.
And it is kind of interesting. Wouldn't you say that you kind of fell into the sprint car industry because of the influence of Jeff Gordon?
I don't know.
As a guy
really,
from Connecticut, it's not PA. I'm just saying. It sounds, you saw the Jeff Gordon path. It went through sprint cars. You got into it.
I mean, definitely was a Jeff Gordon fan. My aunt was a huge Jeff Gordon fan, and she went to every one of my races, and definitely was one of the guys. And when I was a little kid, I didn't even know what a sprint car was, but it just all happened by accident. But again, why kids want to race, sprint cars? Like, who the heck wants to race at Bowman Gray and wreck every week, or race at these small short track pavement tracks, and you just gotta just bump and run every single time to pass somebody? Like, who doesn't want to run the cushion against the wall, or run multiple lanes on a racetrack? I just think that dirt racing is just flat out better than pavement racing. On most nights,
You're saying fun. You're saying it's more fun. Do you still have fun on the track, technically, as a professional?
I have fun sometimes, but it becomes less fun the more you do it. Like
It's
I
an
just like
obligation.
as example, look how much fun the Kyle Busch looks like he has in NASCAR. In my opinion, he doesn't look to be having much fun at all, but you put him in that micro and he's, like a kid again.
Right. So it's a fun factor. You're enjoying it.
Yeah, it's fun. With 1,400 pounds and 900 horsepower, what else is competing with that? Power to weight ratio. The only thing that's trumping that by far is a top fuel car. Everybody wants to be rich and famous, and the way to be rich and famous was to be a NASCAR driver. And now that's definitely changing. You just look at social media followings for a majority of the NASCAR people. There's maybe a Big Ten in NASCAR, but after those top 10 guys, I mean, people don't know who they are. You know what I mean? And these people are making a very good living still, but I know back in the day, these drivers, were probably making five and tens of millions of dollars a year.
Mm. Well, and that's true, in their heyday. Their heyday is
Yeah.
over. Back to rich and famous, though. I do feel like you're potentially the Jeff Gordon of the industry because, when Jeff Gordon picked the NASCAR route, it wasn't more rich and famous than the IndyCar route at that time.
Yeah, I think everything worked out great for Jeff. I mean, look how dominant he was in his first 4 years of his career. I mean, the stars aligned. He had obviously an advantage and had a great car and great team, and accomplished a lot in a short time at a young age.
That sounds like we could replace Jeff Gordon with David Gravel. He had such an advantage. Todd Quiring's team, he had the shit in his helmet. He had such an advantage, and you made a great living. You're admitting it right now. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh God.